Okay, so here are the plans for the house. To get a permit in Hillsborough County, you have to have engineered plans. So you have to either draw them up yourself or hire a drafting company to draw them up. Then they send them to an engineering firm, and then the engineers go through and make sure everything is gonna, hold up to storms or hold up to whatever unique conditions there are. And for our house, we're in a hurricane zone, so that was like $3,500 right there. Here's another. It's about $6,000 here. This is all the lumber. I went through Peninsular Lumber, which is a lumber yard. Instead of going to like Home Depot or something, it's a lot cheaper and it's better quality stuff. And this is a company my dad has worked with for 40, 50 years. We got Schooner helping dig the footers. We got to dig 24 inch by 24 inch by 18 inch holes. We're going a little deeper and we're going a little higher than the plans require, because that's just the minimums. And they said wherever I want to exceed the minimums I can. And so with like the foundation especially, I want to make sure it's really good, sturdy footer. So these are going to be dug down, and then my neighbors are going to come help build the forms for them. Got to move some of the blocking for the trailer around. Got to, just basically rough it out. Schooner was very, very helpful here. He saw what was going on, and he just got right to work. It was really fun. So we got them all laid out, got the forms laid out. I had to cut rebar. There's rebar going into these footers. I ended up cutting them all like a couple inches too long. I didn't realize they needed to be like 20 inches, I guess, and I did them 24. So we had to go back and cut them all short again. Lesson learned. We got all the forms in, then we start getting the forms leveled and even and straight and everything. Okay, so here we go. We are going to pour the concrete for our footers. So we went down to a Wingate Supply, which changed names to like Horizon or something. But anyway, we're going to be getting 60, 70, 80 pound bags worth of concrete, and it was just not going to make sense to try to do 5 or 6 loads at a time in my trailer and then break them all by hand and mix them. And so we went ahead and rented this machine. It was pretty cool. You rent the machine essentially for free based on deposit, and then they sell you the concrete in bulk 1 yard batches, pre-mixed, ready to go. This guy, he has mortar and concrete and water. He's setting up the mixture right there based on maybe the temperature or the conditions or whatever it is, but then he starts pouring it and it goes out that little hopper into this and just shoots it right on down. It was pretty cool to watch. I had never done this before, so now I know it exists. So we loaded up the mixer. He said it's a couple thousand pounds when it's all said and done, like 8,000 pounds or something. So it's a lot of concrete. Then we pour it right in the old wheelbarrow there, and they said the holes and cracks in my old wheelbarrow wouldn't matter. So we poured it, and then we just went hole to hole. It couldn't be easier. You have 2 hours from the time you fill the machine to when you need to bring the machine back and either get more concrete or hose it off and give it to the next guy. If you take more than 2 hours, it's $50 an hour. And that just keeps everyone moving. So, we got in there, we poured, we leveled, and we were gone. Just that easy. And it came out really nice. The inspector came and looked at it beforehand and checked everything, the rebar, and then we pour, and then we can go straight to our footers. We did have a little bit of extra concrete, and so I was able to pour some out back on the seawall to kind of tighten it up. So next, more wood. Here's my $2,700 26-foot LVL beams that were snuck into the plans at the last minute. They drive me crazy. Here we go. We're getting level. This is a bubble level, so this hose is filled with water, and the guy at each end marks the level of the water. Water will always self-level perfectly. So we measured up to where the new finished floor needs to be, and then leveled it out, got it ready, and started getting our posts ready. The posts are set. You drill a hole, and then you have this massive bolt that gets set in epoxy in the hole. So it's got to get blown out. My little air compressor I found came in handy for this. You just got to get all the dust out. Everything's got to be real clean for that epoxy to set. So a couple guys started cutting the 6x6s. We started measuring, double checking, dry fitting. I mean, this process took a long time, but it's the base of the entire house. So all these posts have to be in the exact perfect spot because everything is going to be based on these posts. So, I mean, we took a couple days, just doing this process. You can see those footers are looking good. Here's all the tools, hardware. This is, that's thousands of dollars right there. So to focus on these posts, these are the post brackets they're going to go in, and everything's got to be independent of the house. So all of this structure is going to be its own independent structure. None of it can be attached to the house. Everything's got to be bolted together. So we had to go pick up some really big drills, and I got to work. The rest of the guys were doing some other stuff. I started measuring and drilling everything out. The posts need drills, the rim boards, these ledgers. I'm not even sure. These giant beams that got added on at the last minute that have been crazy expensive nightmare. But anyway, everything needs to be bolted together real tight and then fastened and sandwiched together with specialty structural screws, the whole 9 yards. So it's really convenient. Like, you lay down in the rocks and the dirt and hammer the bolts through. I wanted all the ends of the bolts to come through. Those 2 bolts down by my elbow, I'm going to flip those around. I want them all facing the inside, so nothing's facing the outside. But we got them. Everything's on. Everything's bolted up. We started getting the joists on. That went really fast. The joists, we made jigs, pre-measured them. They're on 12-inch centers. They go in those little hangers. And then I did some blocking down the center, and just to give it some more support. They don't really support the floor. They just keep it from wiggling. Coming around underneath, now you can see, I'm just getting underneath it with my Ryobi nail gun. This thing's a beast. It is heavy though. So at this point, this is before we had hung those giant beams. We got everything framed out, and then we came up underneath with jacks, and that way that beam would sit really, really flush, really nice, and then I got it all bolted together. And so you can see underneath, this was us hanging all these hangers. Each hanger has 12 3-inch nails, and then now you can see afterwards we put those beams in. Then each of those has a hanger strap that goes on. They have 10 nails each. So this thing's pretty secure. Now we're just waiting for the inspection, and then we can proceed with putting the flooring, the walls, the roof, and making it look into a house. But it is starting to feel very, very big when you look at it from out here. Okay, so now it was time to put the floor in. I ended up doing this all myself. I didn't record much of it, but it took me about a day. It really hurt my back, and I realized for the roof I'll be asking for help. But it came out pretty good. So we had to start measuring everything out and laying everything out and getting it ready for the walls to go up. These walls went up and down and up and down, trying to get everything just right. It's a weird plan that has these 4x4s that have to be put in first to carry the headers for the joists. The entire structure is its own unique structure to the house, so none of the weight or any of the support can come from the pre-existing mobile home. So it's basically we're building our own 3-walled house with, then there'll be a big beam. But the windows have to be just right, just perfect, because I've already bought the windows. So we're building the windows to fit, custom. And then these header boards came in. We had to get those fit in. I ended up buying a planer for a lot of this just to get it to get a little more flush, a little more even. But we get the walls up, and then start on the roof. We had to measure the roof, figure out what the angle and the pitch of the roof is, cut off part of my pre-existing roof, build that big header, pre-assemble it on those 4x4s and then put it up, because you see you got to nail it in, where you also have to nail it from the back. So you have to do that part on the ground and then bring it up. But that can't be attached to the house. It's so now here we are dry fitting all the joists, making sure everything's going to go in. The guys got the angle a little wrong, but they're all just tacked in with one screw basically. So we went in and we ended up adding a 2x4 on top of that header board because it's a 1/4 pitch. So we needed it exact. Over a 13-foot span, there's going to be 3.25 inches of rise. And I just the whole build, I've been a real stickler about going exactly to the plans. And so far, the inspectors, I haven't even seen them pull out a tape measure or anything. They've all been pretty impressed with the build and impressed with how clean I keep the site. But, I want it all perfect. So we end up having to kind of redo it a little bit. But that's okay. It's only time and money. And in the grand scheme of things, this building's going to be here for the rest of my life. So we might as well just take the time and do it right. And like I said, they were just tacked in with some screws. Sunny over here helping out with hammering in the hurricane connectors. There's hurricane connectors all through this thing. It is insane. These squares you see, those go down. They're like 6-inch lags that go into the rim boards. And there's SB1s, SB2s. I even did more than what was required. Just the sheathing would have actually passed because we brought the sheathing down farther. But the guy, a couple times, he mentioned recommending that I also do those hurricane straps. I upgraded the hurricane straps at the bottom of the window too. But he recommended it a couple times, and I was like, I think maybe he's hinting. And it's not gonna, it costs maybe an extra $150, $200 to do the extra strapping. And if that keeps my wall from flying away in a hurricane, then well worth it. So I ended up getting what's called a pneumatic palm nailer and using the palm nailer to put all the straps in. My buddy on the boat, Andrew, recommended it. And if you're ever going to do any of these strapping or anything like that, joist hangers, $30 Harbor Freight, grab one, put it on your air compressor. I recommend finding your air compressor in the trash. That's what I did. It was free. It worked really good. But here you see the guys. They're just dry fitting, and we're kind of going around. I think at this point I'm up underneath or somewhere, but we're getting the sheathing boards on. They got to be laid out and staggered, and those are going to come all the way down that rim board, and that also adds shear strength to the structure. This board you see, it's a pink reddish board. It's a zip system. It's got a waterproof membrane on it. It's kind of like a sort of a fiberglass looking painted coating, and it means I don't have to put that Tyvek roof wrap because I don't want to throw 10,000 staples into the side of my plywood. But here you can see we're measuring it out. We have to put it over the holes for those bolts, and so we needed to measure it pretty well and then drill out with a hole saw to get a nice clean cut. The guys weren't super concerned about getting a nice clean cut, but I kind of took some time and explained that it's my house, and even those little details, I kind of want them perfect, even if it's something no one's gonna see. So it came out pretty good. I think there's more stuff we could have done. We probably could have bought the little clips to make sure all the seams were exactly perfect. I used some aluminum angle iron that was 1/4 inch. That's what it recommended, and we just put that in and sized it up. But this, didn't really take. I pretty much got it all done in a day. See here, us putting it down. The guys' wives would come over every now and then and see what we were up to. They're all my neighbors. That's her sitting on the left there. She would come over and hammer a nail or look at some tools and bring them ice cream. Every day at some point, the guys' wives would come over and bring them ice cream bars, and we'd stop and have ice cream. So this is dry fitting the windows, the zip system, that tape. This is inside all framed out. And then I got to tape all these seams. So I documented everything first, taped them all up, and then we went and got our roofing, some modified bitumen roll roofing, and rolled that out. And you peel back the shingles, then you roll down this primer, then you put this underlayment, then you have flashing, then you have another piece that goes on over it. It's kind of a layered system. And my neighbors did that. That's the house. So the next stop is going to be getting the electrical in, and then an inspection, and then the insulation, and an inspection, and then the drywall, and the flooring, and everything, getting that done, and then a final inspection once it's livable. But we're getting closer. Basically, what we're building here is going to be 2 bedrooms for the kids that are pretty much identical. They're based off Sonny's bedroom, so they'll be really close to that design, and then a walk-in closet for Jenna. So the bedrooms, you'll see they're going to enter into the living room. They'll have a small closet in each one, and they're basically just simple bedrooms. That wall in the middle is not load-bearing, so someday we could take it out and turn that whole room into a big living room. The closet I'm really excited about, that's on the right. This is going to be done in the pack system from IKEA. This is for Jenna, and this is going to be a large walk-in closet with organizational system. So stay tuned, and we'll tell you what's next. Thank you.